welcome you guys to our weekly Insider's Edge call. We are super excited about the guest that we have today. Super good friend, longtime friend to both of us, and always been inspired by, every time I meet Dante, number one, he's always happy. There's always a smile. There's always a positive energy that just exudes himself, but also his family. It's funny, kind of a funny story how I met Dante. I went to prospect him in with Rocket Recruiting, of showing like, hey, this tool, like, you're gonna love it, man. Your team, he's in Newport Beach at the highest high rise at the top floor, and his office is looking over the whole, Fashion Island over to the ocean. And I'm sitting here talking to him, like looking out at the ocean going, this is amazing, man. And he goes, whatever you think, you've got, I would have to go and make sure my whole team, like they like it. There's proof, there's all this. He doesn't make any decisions unless this is good for the team. It isn't about him. It's about what he does in all of his team and his businesses. So we're walking out, and I said something about my daughter, Asia. And he goes, you're talking about my daughter, Asia? And I said, no, I have a daughter, Asia. And he goes, no way. He goes, how do you have a daughter named Asia? And I said, yeah. And he goes, me too. And it was that one thing, boom, like we could have crossed paths and that was done. But it was one of those things that just being there, spending the time getting to know him professionally, but then personally, and that's what really connected us in just a much deeper way. Our families, love each other, spend time together. So we're super excited to have him to join us today. Excited, my name Eric Tippetts. People that maybe don't know me, but also our co-host, Mr.
Jeff Jacobson. Hello, everybody. It's good. It's always fun to see these Zoom calls, because Eric has all these people from years past that he's impacted that he hasn't seen for like 5, 10, 20 years will jump on. And so it's really fun, Eric, but thank you for the intro. We are excited to get started. And before we get started, let me introduce our guest a little bit, just to give everybody a background kind of on Dante. Donte Andry is our guest. Dante, thank you for being here.
Whoop, whoop.
Just a little bit of background about Dante, but I wanted to tell you something that he said that was impactful already to Eric and I. So obviously Dante has been in Herbalife. You guys may have heard about that company, may have heard a little bit about it somewhere in your history, but got to start in real estate. And he is an entrepreneur in every sense of the word. And that's why he's going to be such a phenomenal guest. And we're so excited to have him here. But starting in real estate, getting a degree from Pepperdine, getting into real estate, starting to understand kind of how things work, and then getting into Herbalife. If my understanding is correct, it was with his brother, and they were not only one of the top in all of Herbalife, but in all of the world. And for those of you that are out there building your businesses, think about the work and the sacrifice that has to go into being successful. But then think about the work and the sacrifice that has to go into being the best, the top. So we're really excited to hear about his adventures with Herbalife. He's moved into now franchise ownership with fast casual restaurants. But let me say something before I turn the time over to Eric. We ask our guests, how do you want to be introduced? What do you want us to say about you? And some people say, $1 billion valuation. I bench press 440 pounds. I run a 3-minute mile. Here's what Dante said when we asked him how we wanted to be introduced. And he said, what's so important to me? Family and faith. So I'll leave that with you to understand what type of individual he is, and really kind of set the tone for what we want out of this interview. So Dante, we're thrilled to have you. I can't wait to dig in. And on that note, let's get started.
Well, I'm honored and, excited about being on the phone with all my brothers right here, all around the country, wherever you may be. I know, I guess there's a few guys in Utah, and I'm actually going to be there next week on Tuesday. But, what an honor it is. And I love the vibe. I love what's going on here. And so can't wait to have this open dialogue of what's going on, and kind of a little bit about my past, where I was, where I am, and, most importantly for all of us, where we're all going, self included. So if I could share a little bit of my past with you guys to give you guys something a nugget that could be valuable moving forward, it would be, I'd be flattered.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. It's like Jeff was mentioning. So we had a few minutes with Dante before the call got started. And just like Jeff said, how do you want to be introduced? And he said, family and faith, that's everything that comes forward. He said, so many people get caught in the financial side and not realizing that when you get these blinders on and so focused on the money side of your experience every day, that you start to neglect the family side. And then what happens is the family side leaves, and then you get so disturbed by that, the money side leaves, and suddenly you're standing around going, what happened? And so I think that's so insightful for people, because they think the money will always make the happiness. They always are chasing that, thinking that's going to be the happiness side and make everybody happy, when many times, and especially a lot for kids, they want the time. It isn't about the money, it's the time with the father, with the mother. So Dante, I think, as a preface, this is a great intro to kind of understand, the soul of who you are and the thread of what drives you. Let's go back. Like, I love to hear people's, success, especially people that are doing amazing things, how they got started, because I think that's where your beliefs, your standards, your window was painted. And many people like to, if they ever get into that victim role, they always blame it on, like, I didn't live in the best place. I didn't have a silver spoon. And I didn't have that opportunity. And I was poor and this and that. I wasn't in the right place. Talk to us about, where were you, born, raised, and a little bit about the beginnings.
Okay, well, I'm born and raised Southern California, the Sunshine State over here. And,
super tough.
Yeah. Born 6 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment. My father was an employee. He was actually working for Chrysler, and he worked for them for 25 years. And best year was $35,000. And so raising 6 kids in Southern California on a $35,000 income, that's not easy to do. Not easy to do. There was a lesson in there, a lesson about hunger, a lesson about community, a lesson about contribution, because all those things were necessary to have this family unit of 8 work well within this small little apartment, and so learned so many disciplines along that way. Also learned, about caring, also learned, how to be competitive, right? Be the first up, and so things like that I wasn't able to articulate, as a young kid, but those are, lifetime lessons that I've carried on, for the years to come. And so I started out there, and then in order for my father to improve the next generation, like we all want to do for our children, I'm sure you guys want to do the same thing, he moved to Orange County, and, it was filled with orange groves, and I was, 56, and I was about 9 years old then. And did the best he can, commuted to Los Angeles because that's where his job was. And we started, integrated in this Orange County lifestyle. And the whole purpose was to see something different, to see something more, to give us something we all call vision. And that's such a huge, huge part, I think, of all of us, because we all know, what you focus on and what you say to yourself is where you go. I like to share with people, to kind of give them a metaphor. Your lamps, your feet are your feet are the lamps of your journey. So it's been so important for me to, it's like a cliche, never forget where you come from, and I've kept that in my mantra, not to do that, and always remember to give back. And so at a young age, I started working at the swap meet. So I was working at the swap meet. You guys all heard these stories from your parents and grandparents. I was working at the swap meet. They picked me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We go and get a 99-cent Denny's Grand Slam breakfast. Saturday, Sunday. They drop us off at 5 o'clock in the evening. We'd be in the hot sun at the Orange County swap meet, and we would get paid $10 a day. And, you know, just life lessons like that. And I did that summer after summer after summer. And that gave me a look at people that were the employees and also people that were the business owners. And I quickly was attracted to the better lifestyle as it relates to decision making, you know. And so kind of moved up the ranks then. And at the end of the day, finished up high school and started working like many of us do, and wanted to go to college, didn't have the resources to go to college, didn't have a family that said, you know, this is the next thing you do. You go from, you know, elementary school to middle school to high school to university, because neither one of my parents had university educations. And so I got in the workforce, and I actually got into automotive. And the reason why I got into automotive, because my father worked in automotive, and I thought that would be a great way for him and I to improve our relationship, maintain it, and grow it. Yep. And so I spent about 16 years in automotive and had a wonderful career. And I had a twin brother that was working with Herbalife. And, you know, going back in those days, I think the first time he approached me, we were 28 years old. I had been working with Mercedes-Benz for about 7 years already. So at 28, you got a 7-year-old job. I mean, that's all you know. That was my whole life, you know. And my twin brother says, hey, you know, I'm starting to work with this company called Herbalife. And I'm like, what's Herbalife? I don't even know what Herbalife is. He goes, health and nutrition. And I got to tell you, I stand about 5'10", and I was a whopping 135. Okay.
Wet.
Yeah. And, knew nothing about health and nutrition. And he said, you know, we're going to take this health and nutrition thing all around the world. And I said, hey, good for you, but not for me. Had no interest, you know. And I really thought network marketing, as little as I knew about it, were for other people and for people that didn't have choices, you know. And so I just said, hey, good for you, but not for me. And I wished him well, and he wished me well. And before I left that conversation, I said, by the way, you know, well, how much money are you making? You know, he said, well, my first month I made $300. 4 months later, I made $1,500. So his income grew 5 times in 4 months. I was focusing on the $1,500. He was focusing on the 5X. And that was the disconnect.
Yep.
I was making like $15,000 a month in my career. He was making $1,500. And so quite honestly, it was an easy decision for me, $1,500 or $15,000. I said, hey, good for you, but not for me. And we genuinely wished each other well. And that's been one of the great journeys of my life, to have a twin brother, that there is no greater cheerleader for me, and he has no greater one than I. Still today, I will say, you know. And so fast forward, 2 years go by, we're approaching our 30th birthday. We're both born in the middle of November. And he says, man, I got to tell you, Dante, you know, I had a good year. I'm going to have my first $1 million year. And I said, $1 million year, you know, I said some things I can't repeat on this.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know, show me the money. And he showed me the money. And I thought it was revenue. You know, there's a difference between revenue and income, right?
That's right.
So that was his first $1 million year. And after giving those signs and words of brotherly love that we can't disclose on this call, you know, I was in shock. And I thought, my God, I blew it. You know, I should have got in when he got in. He got in at the ground floor. You know, we hear about those things, ground floor, right?
Yep.
And little did I know, the company at that time was 14 years old. It was in 60 countries, and there was nothing ground floor about it. And so I wished him well again. And I said, hey, man, you know what? It's too late. I missed it. But, man, all the best to you. And he generally said the same to me, all the best to me, you know, and wish you well. And so life went on, and, you know, I had a nice home, had a nice car, had some success at my career. And that whole family thing started. And so I had a wife that had an undergrad degree. I'm still with a high school education, and making some good coin. And she comes home. We have a 4-year-old that's in daycare, 40, 60 hours a week because we're both working full time. And she's pregnant with our second child. And she says, I don't want to go back to work. I don't want someone else raising our child, because we had a, full-time nanny at home. And she said, I want to be a mommy first. And that's my primary goal. And I was all about that. That was important, as Eric and Jeff said earlier. And so, so I go, what are you going to do? And she says, well, excuse me, I'm going to start working with your brother in Herbalife. And so what I didn't tell you, I have this twin brother, and I'm 10 minutes older than him. So,
which is like 10 years.
Yeah. I'm the older brother. And I've been telling him for 5 years, thank you, but no thank you. And here my wife comes home one day, she says, you're going to follow him. So I had a lot to say about that,
That's
and,
right.
I get that phone call that you all know what it sounded like. And he said, listen, we have a proven system. It's a step-by-step. And I will say, part of my message to everybody is having something systemic that you don't have to think. All you have to do is do. For me, because I knew where he came from, because I came from the same place, I really believed in that, because I thought I had more in skill and ability than he did with my success. But he followed a systemic system. And then what he did was, there's an old saying in America, work like a dog, and what he did was he worked like 5 dogs, and he just absolutely killed it. So I was admirable of what he was doing. And when I called him up, he said, listen, all she's got to do is follow the step-by-step plan. We've got a plan where she could be a mommy first and then follow this plan. And that's exactly what she did, honestly, guys. She followed it to a T. And I was like on the sidelines being the cheerleader, And
let me ask you real quick. As you look back, and you're the older brother, so it's like, hey, I'm older, I know what I'm doing, wiser, and you're following what your father did. So hey, this is the business, what dad did. So I'm following the roots. Your brother kind of broke the chain of saying, hey, I'm not following there, I'm going a different direction. When you turned him down, was it the money that, hey, I'm making more money? That was the first time that you turned him down. But when he said, I did $1 million year, like I'm curious of why, because you're making 1,500, I'm making 15,000. You made 1 million, I'm probably making maybe 20,000 now. What was the mindset like? Why didn't you immediately go, dude, was it too painful to, like, how do I change everything I know and go do something different? What do you feel like that was?
This, between us guys here, it's 2 words to summarize everything. I call it today, as I look back, brain damage, but the more intricate part of the story was, much like all of us get comfortable in our life, right?
Yes.
With, living in the same room, driving the same car, living in the same house. And I had already had more than I thought I would ever have growing up. I mean, surpassed my dad monthly, what he was making, annually. And so, but I shortly realized that I wanted something more. And I will say that if you have the right opportunity, much like this call, to be around people that can influence you to optically look and hear things differently, I'm telling you, there's nothing more valuable, And as we get through this, one of the things that is so important to me is to give back to other young men and young women that I have an opportunity and become a man of impact. I know that's one of the questions, but because people that have invested in me, like all of you, I'm sure, along the way, whether as a football coach, baseball coach, basketball coach, teacher, friends, parents, your parents, there's always those people. I've never met anybody, with few exceptions, that made it on their own from start to finish, that never had someone that reached down and gave them a hand up. Not a hand out, but a hand up.
That's right.
And took it. And, 2 of the words that I live my life with, and I tell young men adults today, there's so many things past academics, because academics is great, but there's two words that I think are priceless, and that's hustle and hungry. I'll take hustle and hungry over anything any day. You align that with, good moral compass, good integrity, good family, then you have a really great recipe, and you put that with a system that's got a proven track record. I think it's a winning formula.
I'd say hustle, hungry, and heart.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Because the heart, hustle and hungry, if you are just burning through people and you're not touching them, they don't fill you, meaning, I said last week on the call that, the spiritual leader we were having a conversation. She said, Eric, you saw me. And I was like, yeah, of course I saw you, man. And she goes, no, you really saw me. I think that heart aspect of understanding that these are real people. I think the challenge a lot of times, would you not agree, especially in the profession of network marketing, many times there's retention issues because people just feel like it's a number. You're a number getting in, and then, hey, just there you go. Go over there. I got more people to just pile drive in.
Do it.
Not realizing that these are people. They're humans. They have families. They have hearts. They feel things. They're sad. They're happy. And you either got to put them in a system with a tribe, with a community, something that's helping them evolve. There's that feeling, that growth, that heart of what's going on. There's many people I've met that aren't making any money, but they're surrounding themselves with people that make them feel good and start to, be better, start to think bigger, do bigger, bigger actions. What do you think? What do you think, Dante?
Yeah, I'll summarize that into, my purpose is to be a servant leader. I think if you come from a place of gratitude and servitude, gotta tell you, it's so attractive. People want to be around people that way. And, I learned a early story from one of my uncles who was an entrepreneur and really taught me the value of being a servant's leader, and one that it looks as though you're taking all this time to be a servant and you're giving. But in actuality, what he shared with me, you'll be receiving. You'll get so much more than you will give. And it's an oxymoron. It's hard to explain to people. My wife still can't figure it out. She's like, why don't you take some time? I go, because that's not how it works. And maybe it may work for others, but my belief to my core that, the more you give, I know I don't want to sound cliche, the more you'll get, and I will say, 99% of the time, if you come from a place of gratitude and servitude, you will outshine the many. No question about it.
Massive. I mean, Jeff and I had this conversation the other morning about your money pipe. Like most people don't understand that everything in life is moving. You're living or you're dying. And money, people feel like if I get money and I hold it, and it's like nobody's going to get it, like I'm going to hold on to it tight. They don't realize you just closed off the pipe of money. So if you are holding on, there is no money. The pipe's closed. But if you are giving and that pipe is opening up, there's another pipe opening up, that things are flowing. If that's something that my dad taught me early, that money is always moving. It's always working. When you work, your butt off to go put it in the bank doesn't sit with the money sitting right there. They go, thank you, give you a receipt, and then they're using your money.
It's working.
Money is always moving. It's either working for you or working for somebody else. It's always moving. And so understanding that the whole giving and receiving, it's very similar. Energy is just moving. And the more that you stop it and don't give, there is no more receipt. Like that, you wonder, why does this thing just keep dwindling, and why do my friends keep dwindling? You've got to get that pipe open. Sorry, Jeff.
No, two great points you guys made. And I want to unpack something Dante said earlier, because I think it's critical and a point that I think is great for everybody to understand. But I heard an interesting thing about gratitude the other day, that it's impossible for gratitude and ego to coexist. And so if you're filling your mind with thoughts of gratitude, it's really hard to say, well, what about me? I don't have this. I don't have that. Why does somebody else have it? And so that's been a great lesson for me on that subject of gratitude. But Dante, let me back up before we move forward, because you said something I want to pull out a little deeper. You said, what you say to yourself is where you go. And that is one of the most fundamental concepts, I think, of growth and expansion that we could ever understand. And we talked about this in some other trainings we've done, is the internal dialogue that we have with ourselves has more impact on what we do and who we become than any other factor. And whether it's your childhood or your circumstances, we have this running dialogue every day with ourselves. And you can choose to be the PA announcer of your own internal dialogue. Hey, I woke up this morning, my hair looks good. And you start this crazy, albeit simple, dialogue with yourself that runs throughout the day. Hey, I went to the gym. I didn't eat those French fries. And you get yourself in this position of, okay, I'm on this positive channel now. I'm this internal dialogue of having with myself is pushing me into a positive way. The flip side, and how easy it is to get off track, is maybe you wake up late and you're in there brushing your teeth and you're like, you lazy, you slept in 10 minutes today. And boom, that dialogue starts. So when you said, what you say to yourself is where you go, can you expand on that a little bit and let people know? It sounds like you understood that at a young age. What are things people can do to have that dialogue, to actually say where they want to go and learn how to control that internal dialogue that we have with ourselves based on so many things that we can't control?
Well, that's a great question. And I got to tell you, I am so 100% on point with you, and believe it to my soul. And I know it. And I will say this, that the simplest way to approach this, if I could make a suggestion to be so bold, is just to create affirmations, write them down, and here's the way to exponentially grow it, in my opinion, is this. Some people go, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be the president, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to be, a leader in my family, I'm going to give it in my community. I would encourage you to fast forward that and start with I am. And I am is now. I am a servant leader. I am going to the gym today. I am and I will be this person. And so when you start with an I am now, I used to talk to the friends that developed me along the way. And I said, so, what you're basically saying is you want me to lie to myself? Well, Dante, at the end of the day, whatever you tell yourself, you believe. So whoever you want to become and whatever you want to do, if you start out with I am, like Jeff said, you will become. I'm just telling you, it is the way it is. It's the universe. And, I know that we're all more similar than different. And so I know you guys get it, so I don't have to expand on it. But, those daily affirmations, of telling you positive things, it is priceless. And then, of course, you give those and you utter those to the people around you, and especially the people you care about, your significant others, your children, and I got to tell you, people that go through life with those contrary words, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke, or I'm sick. I don't feel good. All those things. I don't even have those in my vocabulary, honestly. So
you're struggling to come up with them.
I know.
Obviously, you're not saying those.
I struggle with that. I have learned through this pandemic, honestly, which is a really sensitive subject, about mental health. And I got to tell you, it is freaking gigantic, and it is a big void in our community, and it all stems with that self-talk. What you focus on is where you go. My words are the lamps of my feet. you know? And so there are so many easy reads, books, YouTubes, you know, you could Google it and start with some words of affirmation, and the way it will make you feel, I'm telling you, is priceless. And the inspiration and encouragement it will send you directionally on the right path, starting your day and, you know, and closing it with gratitude. I'm telling you, it's hard to have a bad day. You know, I mean, I talked to these guys earlier, you know, about, you know, two of the things I learned early in Herbalife, I could give them all the credit, was everything's great and everything's no problem. And when I say everything's great and everything's no problem, I'm telling you literally, you know, everything's great and everything's no problem. And I'm telling you what, you can shake off anything, you know, anything. Because, you know, the good Lord, you know, not to be religious, but he will only give you what you can handle, you know. And so I'm a believer in that, and a believer in those words. And I encourage you guys, if you haven't already taken that on, try it on. Try it on and see what it feels like.
It's funny, last week as we were getting into with Mark Lejeune of how does somebody go connect, maybe I'm an introvert and I'm going out, you know, we're all selling every day. I mean, we're selling ourselves, we're selling our ideas to ourselves. So how do we connect with people quicker and in a deeper way? And he talked about frequency and, you know, the channels. And it really, I'm absolute 1000% convinced that the way you start your day, your morning sets your frequency for the day. So if you start the day, you stub your toe and you're like, oh, I told you I would, and you're late, then your frequency is off, that it just attracts more of that's going to happen. And people don't understand, you know, I want to hit the snooze button and sleep another 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes is going to wreck my whole day, my frequency, my whole day, versus I'm going to just 30 minutes early. I'm going to get up. I'm going to read for a minute. I'm just going to set my intention of what I want today, my frequency of what I want today.
Love it.
That you start to go, this is amazing. Like, how do you, it actually got so funny to me that and I'm not kidding, I started playing these kind of games. Like I would be walking on the street and go, I'm going to see a black Lambo, like something that, you know, isn't an everyday, like I'm going to see a Toyota. I'd go, I'm going to see a black Lambo in the next 5 seconds. 1, 2, and I'd look in it, like, no way. Like this, like it really, like this is getting this stupid. It almost became so goofy and wacky to me that things were attracted, or I don't even know if it was attracted. It's that my eyes, I think, just open. It's like when you buy a new car and you go, man, you know, I just bought this brand new white Toyota. And then suddenly you look around, you're like, I didn't realize how many people have the white Toyota. Like, this is really weird. I've never noticed this. I feel like that's what happens in most people's lives, is that they just don't see what they didn't see. And suddenly being in a frequency, and they started to connect in things that they didn't realize how much love was around them, how much happiness was around. I talk about the money magnet, like you do it, you find a penny, you're like, I'm a money magnet. And suddenly you're like, wow, there's so much money to change around here. I didn't ever notice that. So I think this is really important, and everybody on the call today, I mean, I think that's one of the most valuable and important core fundamental ideas and concepts and experiences that people could take away from this and understand. It truly does start there in those mornings and in your frequency.
Cool. I totally
So Jeff, I'm thinking, let's get into,
looking at the timing, I think now's right.
Yes.
Excellent. Everybody on the call is probably going, what are you doing? So what we're going to do now is we've written down some questions that we are going to ask Dante. And Dante, I'm going to have you kind of finish my sentence. I'll ask you a question and just drop off and then kind of have you finish it. And feel free to say pass. I don't want to answer that question. It makes me uncomfortable. Or give me a 2-word answer or expand on it. And what we're trying to do here is really just kind of find out about you, what it is that motivates you, what drives you, things that we don't talk about when you talk about tactical things, but more your soul, your purpose, and things like that. So I'm ready to get started, Dante. You ready?
Hey, I do reserve the right?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. All you have to say is pass or hold your hand up and we'll go to the next one.
You see his video go off.
Yeah.
I did. Okay, gang. It's like, oh, he didn't like that question. Okay.
Next.
No, this is actually, we want to do this. And so for everybody on the call, what you're going to see every week on the Insider's Edge is we want to bring people on that are committed and like Dante said, committed to giving back and want to help, give a hand out to help us, raise all of our levels. But as we go through and kind of learn about Dante and others, we wanted to end each of these Insider's Edge calls with what did they, to ask the question, to have Dante just, these are things that he hasn't prepared for, that he can just, is the core of what he is. I think it'll be really fun for you each week to see each guest, how they answer this, because I think these are a great takeaway that these aren't scripted. This isn't something to where it's like, oh, they know the answer. We wanted to do something off the cuff like this that really gave you an inside look immediately to each of these special guests. So, all right.
Perfect. Absolutely. All right, here we go. Question number 1. My purpose is?
My purpose is to be a man of impact and servant's leader.
Nice.
I love that. I love that. And you and luckily for us, you explained that a little bit earlier in the interview. The service leader. It's funny. I read a great quote before I get on the next question. Leadership is not a position; it's a responsibility. And I think so many people, myself included, for years confuse that. And so to hear you say what you want to be and what your purpose is really lets us think that you've thought through this. You've kind of leaned into what your purpose is. And now it's not a matter of just saying it's my purpose. It's a matter of aligning with that purpose. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Question number 2. My vision is?
My vision is to grow something that's bigger than me, that will live longer than me, and that I can pass on generationally.
I love it. I love it. All right, next question. I am?
Oh, good. That's a good one. So I have my I ams written down. So it's something, again, that I continue to read to myself, to say out loud, to announce it, to internally say it. So I always I am in control of my attitude, and I choose to be confident. I am honest with myself in my work and in my communications. I am faced with problems with tenacity, calmness, and ease. I face them all with the same tenacity, calmness, and ease. Remember, everything's no problem and everything's great. I have the willpower and the energy to begin my task and grab the bull by the horns. I am energetic and I complete all my tasks fully. And I can, I will, and I shall.
I love it.
You got that posted like right on your computer screen.
I don't know what I like more, the answers or the fact that you had it right on your computer screen, that you can see it at every minute of every day.
Seriously.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Question number 4. It all comes down to?
Gosh, action. That's
Ooh.
it. There's an old saying.
All comes down to action.
In God we trust. you still got to tie up your camels. You gotta move.
That's,
You know,
you can't steer a parked car.
no, you
I
just,
think most people, they just sit, and it's like, I loved The Secret, but it also, it's like, you can't just sit on the couch and, it's coming. Like, you got to get out and take action. There's steps to it of getting out and doing it.
Absolutely. There's no results without action. All right. Fifth and final question. What I understand best is.
I know little. That's it. I know
I
little.
love it.
I know little.
I know little.
I know little.
It's almost like you think about all the success that you've had and all the experiences that you've had, and that's powerful to me, because there's people that love to just talk and hear themselves talk. And, I've done it all. I'm going to tell you guys how you do everything. But just to have you say that I know little, like it's that mindset of saying there's so much more out there that I don't know, that I can't wait to go learn, that I'm a student. Like I can't wait to learn there every day. I have this thing on my wall that says, are you better today than you were yesterday? It truly, when you start to think about what's that one little thing that I can learn today, it isn't, I think most people, it's like the gym. I've never worked out, but I'm going to go lift 400 pounds and come home and I can't even get out of bed for the next week. But if you learn just one little thing, in a day, you start to realize, feeding your brain each day. I think when you say that's what inspires you guys, like that's the creativity. I get so fired up because I hear things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I love to be a part of this, and I'm more excited than you guys, I know, to hear your stories and learn what you guys have done, and what's caused you to go from where you were to where you are, and always the most importantly, where you're headed. And so so grateful to Jeff, and my buddy ET, for taking the time and coordinate this, because there's so much that goes behind the scenes and all these different things. I'm certain of it, and for you guys to take away from your family and your free time and your other passions that you love to give to these guys, and then sprinkle it around the world. I'm hungry for that. I mean, so many days I want to somehow, I want to clean my hard drive, and I want to reload it.
Yes.
I have had a fruitful life, and my cup has runneth over, but I just want to continue to pour my cup out. Genuinely, I really do, and just take on new things, new ideas, new concepts, new optics, so that I can, become more one day.
And we appreciate that. And as you were talking, I was thinking in my mind, as I think with this pandemic and people so like disconnected right now. I mean, not being able to come into events and, give each other a hug and get that interpersonal touch and relationship. Already as an entrepreneur and a work from home, you kind of become this maverick that you live and die in your mind. It's you're either motivated or you're struggling to get motivation. Do you feel like environment, like people that are on the call and understanding your environment in my experience is massive? Of what environment are you putting yourself into to actually start your day right, or to get on that frequency? Do you find, what do you find when you go to work? Do you find either mentally or physically putting yourself in the right place to do and tackle what you want to do?
I think what you said earlier is like really critical. You know, I still see my kids, you know, they want to get up 5 minutes before they have to, you know, they have to be out of the house. I'm totally opposite of that. You know, I can tell you in the last 25 years, I can honestly tell you, I don't think I've ever hit that snooze button once. And just to jump out of bed, I'm excited about getting the day going. And then what I do is I go through my ritual, you know, every morning. I'm an hour, take it in, get my chi on. And, you know, I love what you're saying. You're describing this frequency. And I think, I mean, I love that better than chi because I mean, it just nails it, you know, and, you know, and to create that environment because, you know, what's great about this is if you don't like your environment where you are right now, I got one piece of humble opinion. Change it. Because you're not a tree, you know, you're just not a tree. And so, you know, if you've made decisions that come with responsibilities, then I'm certainly not suggesting that you pick up and leave anybody. I'm certainly not saying that. But as far as, you know, where you are and what you wake up to and what you go to bed to every night, I really, really think that that's an important part of the equation. And, you know, what money does, in my opinion, it's very simple. It gives us autonomy. And what I mean by autonomy is freedom of choice. You know, who to give to, when to give it to, where to live, what to drive, where to travel, you know, and that's what it's all about. And, you know, I love what you said earlier, you know, about money's got to be flowing. I always say, you know, business is about exchanging commerce, you know, something of value. Yes, more oftentimes it's monetary, it's capital. But, you know, things like this, where we're exchanging something of value, that's the hopes. I think that's the intention of this, you know.
Yep.
It's so valuable, you know. And, you know, in closing, you know, to much that is given, much is expected. And like you guys said, you know, so perfect, Jeff, it's a responsibility, you know. And so, you know, if there's ever a call I can take or a young woman, young man, older man, older woman that, you know, I have something I can give them of value, I am deeply grateful for that, you know. And the times that I get to sit down with guys like you and listen to the wisdom and listen, you know, to the old sage, so to speak, you know, I mean, that stuff, you can't put a monetary price on it, but it's so valuable, you know. So this has been great for me, and I got to tell you, it's exciting to, and I'm hopeful that I can be invited to this more often, not as a speaker, but as a listener, you know, to continue to take in the wisdom and the speakers that you guys bring in the next, you know, weeks and years to come.
Absolutely. You know, Jeff, it's funny, as Dante was just talking, I was starting to think, this is exactly what we were talking about. People think of monetary value as money. It's that life currency.
Life currency.
That we've talked about. That's more valuable than any money, is life currency of those experiences and being able to share those with others. We all are going through these different waves and highs and lows. You know, everyone that's done anything has felt, you know, we were talking earlier, the people I want to hang out with are people with arrows in their chest, not in their back. That means they're always running and, you know, chasing and getting, and like, stand up, lean in, go towards where you want to be, make the choice. You know, come on, 30 minutes before, to wake up and give yourself the ability to get in the right frequency, to know that you're going to win that day, is, why would you not? Like, what, you know, everybody that's on this call and everybody that's listening to this, you've spent the time to be here. Invest and give yourself that time in the morning. It will absolutely change your day, change your week, change your month, change your year, and really change your life. So, you know, closing up here, Dante, how do people connect with you? If they've got questions, or they just want to, you know, you've gone through so many different battles and ups and downs. People love to connect and just keep that relationship going. How would somebody keep that relationship
Well,
with
I
you.
gotta say, you know, I don't have, I wish I could say that I have this social media, Instagram following and, you know, check out my channel.
It's us right here.
Yeah, I really don't have that, you know. I'm on LinkedIn, but if you want to send a message to me that I won't get, I'm embarrassed to tell you, you can send it to LinkedIn. But you know, you can call my mobile, you can, you know, you can text me. You know, my email address is the number 2, the word feel, FEEL, the word fit, FIT, at gmail.com, 2feelfit@gmail.com. And you know, if there's something I can share with anybody at any time, you know, you can't call early, can't call too late. Love to get an opportunity to give back and you know, tackle the world together.
I think that actually is a really good kind of thought ending of everybody's putting so much emphasis on social media. That's the only way you can, you know, bring people in your business, only way that you can do things. And here you're saying, hey, you know, that isn't the only way. Because it's pretty interesting to hear all the gurus today, you know, selling all the training on social media, that is the only way you can build a business and connect with people. And here you're saying, hey, you know, there's lots of other ways. So I strongly recommend you guys shoot Dante an email, connect with him, you know, find out ways that he's reaching out and touching people and connecting. And I mean, has built a massive organization in Herbalife. So, you know, this isn't he's a talking head that just learned something in a book and is regurgitating it. He's living it, and he's knowing him personally. You know, he lives it. He isn't on here with his, you know, his backdrop, and then he leaves and goes over and eats a hamburger. Dante is living, breathing, experiencing what he is talking to people about. And I've always respected that of you. Of so many people talk the talk, but they don't, you see them in different environments and they're not walking the walk. And you've always done that.
Awesome, Dante. Awesome, man. I can't tell you how impactful it was having you on here today. You know, I've always admired you. I've always looked up to you and the balance that you've kept with your family. You know, you have daughters, and daughters are not easy. Luckily, I only have a son, but to watch the balance that you guys created in your family, it was something that drew me to you guys from the very beginning. I just can't tell you how grateful I am for you coming on and sharing your experiences, sharing your thoughts, and just being vulnerable enough to realize the impact that you can have on everybody. I really, really appreciate you jumping on with us today.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I dropped my mobile and my email address in the chat, and don't hesitate. And you guys, let's take on the world together. I'm telling you, we can do more together than independently, you know.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Well, dude, here's virtual hug. So we're supposed to be playing golf with Don today. We were supposed to be doing this together, but things get in the way. But I can't wait to see you next week in Utah. Spend time with you and just continue this conversation. This was a great precursor to our time we're going to spend.
I hope to see you up there as well.
Absolutely. Oh, you will.
You will.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
On the call.
Hello.
Jump on next week. Izzy, what's happening, brother? Hey, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next week on The Insider's Edge. I am Eric Tippetts. That is
Jeff Jacobson.
Boom. Have an amazing day, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
See you on the inside. Bye.